Every night at exactly 3 in the morning, my son takes a shower. No, he's not dirty. He's washing evidence. I'm standing barefoot in the hallway outside the master bathroom, my hand flat against the wall for balance. The marble is cold under my feet. Cold like everything else in this place. Cold like my son's eyes when he looks at me now. The penthouse is dark except for the sliver of light bleeding under the bathroom door. I can hear the water running, not the soft patter of a normal shower. This is aggressive, focused, deliberate. The kind of sound that has purpose behind it, like someone washing away evidence or scrubbing their hands clean of any trace. I know because I've been listening for 3 weeks now. 21 nights of the same ritual, same time, same intensity, same duration. Let me back up. Before we continue, we ask you to hit the hype button, subscribe, and like the video to help the channel grow. Tell us which city you are from in the comments. We would like to get to know our audience better. 6 months ago, I was living in Des Moines, in the house where my wife Karen and I raised Liam. 3 bedrooms, front porch, maple tree in the yard that dropped leaves every fall like clockwork. The house had good bones, I should know. I'd reinforced half the structure myself over the years, fixed the foundation when it started settling, replaced the roof after the hailstorm in '09, built the deck where Karen used to read her mystery novels on Sunday afternoons. Karen passed away 2 years ago. Cancer, ovarian. By the time they found it, there wasn't much they could do except make her comfortable. She lasted 8 months after diagnosis. 8 months of watching the strongest woman I'd ever known waste away in a hospital bed we'd set up in our living room. The house felt too big after that, too full of ghosts and memories that ambushed me at random moments. I kept finding her reading glasses in weird places, behind the flour canister, on top of the water heater, in the garage tucked inside my toolbox, like she was still moving through the rooms just out of sight, leaving breadcrumbs for me to follow. I'm a practical man, always have been, spent 37 years managing construction crews, solving problems, making sure buildings didn't fall down and workers went home safe. Logic over emotion, evidence over assumption. That's how you survive in construction. That's how you survive, period. So when Liam called and suggested I sell the house and move in with him and Lindsay in Manhattan, I considered it practically. Made a list. Pros and cons. Like Karen taught me. The house was paid off. Market was good. I'd net enough to pad my retirement accounts and still have money left over for whatever came next. Liam had space. A penthouse in one of those glass towers that look like they're trying to pierce the sky. 23rd floor. Views of the city that stretched from the Hudson to the East River. 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, more square footage than he and Lindsay could possibly use. "Dad, it makes sense," Liam said on the phone. His lawyer voice, smooth, reasonable. The voice he probably used to convince juries that his clients were innocent. "You're alone out there. We've got the space. Lindsay and I both work long hours. You'd have the place to yourself most of the time. And honestly, it'd be nice to see you more." That last part got me. It'd be nice to see you more. I hadn't seen much of Liam since he moved to New York 8 years ago. He'd visit for Christmas, maybe a long weekend in summer if his schedule allowed. Always busy, always important meetings, always climbing that corporate ladder at his law firm, Henderson and Associates, one of those white-shoe Manhattan firms with offices in London and Hong Kong. He'd call on my birthday, send expensive gifts I didn't need, a cashmere scarf, a set of golf clubs, even though I'd told him 3 times I didn't play golf. Things that said, "I'm successful," more than "I know my father." But still, he was my son, my only child. And after Karen was gone, the loneliness grew heavy. The kind of heavy that settles into your bones and makes every day feel like you're trudging through mud. So I said yes. I sold the house in April. It went fast. Young couple with a baby on the way. They loved the maple tree and the deck and the neighborhood with its quiet streets and decent schools. I helped them with the inspection, pointed out the quirks every old house has. The toilet that runs if you don't jiggle the handle. The back door that sticks in humidity. The garage opener that needs 2 clicks instead of 1. They appreciated that. Said I was honest. I told them I was just practical. I packed up 40 years of my life into a moving truck. Furniture, clothes, tools. Karen's things that I couldn't bring myself to donate. Photo albums, her jewelry box, the quilt her grandmother made. Things that mattered. I drove east in May. Took my time. Stopped in Pennsylvania to visit an old crew member who'd retired near Pittsburgh. Stopped again in New Jersey just to stretch my legs and clear my head before diving into the city. Manhattan hit me like a wall of noise and concrete and too many people moving too fast. The traffic was insane. The drivers were aggressive. Everything was tall and crowded and expensive looking. I'd visited before, of course. But visiting is different from staying. Visiting, you're a tourist. Staying, you're supposed to belong. Liam met me at the building. His building. Tower residences on West 58th Street. Glass and steel and the kind of modern architecture that looks impressive in magazines but feels cold in person. He was waiting outside when I pulled up in my truck. Tall, expensive charcoal suit, hair perfect with just enough gray at the temples to make him look distinguished instead of old. He looked like a man who belonged in a place like this, confident, polished, successful. "Dad!" He hugged me, firm grip, quick release. "How was the drive?" "Long," I said, "but good. Let me help with your stuff." We unloaded boxes into the service elevator. The building had 2 elevators, one for residents, one for deliveries and staff. Apparently, my 40 years of belongings counted as delivery. The lobby was all marble and modern art, and a doorman who looked like he'd stepped out of a movie. Tall, formal, white gloves. "Mr. Whitman," he said, nodding as we walked past with boxes. Then he looked at me, uncertain, sizing me up, probably wondering if I was delivery help or family. "This is my father, Harold," Liam said without breaking stride. "He'll be staying with us." The doorman's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Some calculation I didn't understand yet. Maybe judgment, maybe pity, maybe just the recognition that I didn't look like I belonged here in my Levi's and Iowa State t-shirt. We rode the service elevator to the 23rd floor in silence, just the hum of machinery and the faint smell of cleaning products. Lindsay was waiting upstairs when we got the first load off the elevator. 33, blonde, the kind of beautiful that requires maintenance and money. Perfect skin, perfect teeth, perfect everything. She was wearing yoga pants that probably cost more than my truck payment and a white top that looked effortlessly expensive. She smiled when I walked in, but it didn't reach her eyes. Karen used to say you can tell everything about a person's smile by whether their eyes match. Lindsay's eyes were calculating, measuring. "Harold," she said, hugging me. Her perfume was expensive and made my nose itch, something floral and overpowering. "Welcome home." Home. The word felt wrong coming from her mouth, like she was trying it out, seeing if I'd accept it. The penthouse was stunning, I'll give them that. Open floor plan that made the whole space feel like one enormous room. Floor-to-ceiling windows everywhere, views of Central Park to the north, the Hudson to the west, the kind of views you see in movies about rich people. The kitchen had appliances that looked like they belonged in a spaceship. Sleek, chrome, touch-screen controls on the refrigerator. The stove was some European brand I'd never heard of with more burners than anyone could possibly need. The countertops were white marble with gray veining. Probably Italian. Probably cost more per square foot than my entire Iowa kitchen. The living room had furniture that looked like it belonged in a museum. Low-slung couch in cream fabric, abstract paintings on the walls in colors that didn't quite match anything but somehow worked. A coffee table made of glass, and what looked like driftwood but was probably some designer's interpretation of driftwood that cost $10,000. Everything was white or gray or some variation of beige. Everything was spotless. Everything felt untouched, like a showroom instead of a home. My room was at the far end of the hall, past the kitchen and away from the master suite. Guest room, technically. Nice bed with expensive linens. Private bathroom with heated floors and a rain shower. Window overlooking 58th Street with a partial view of the park. It was bigger than my bedroom in Iowa. Nicer. Cleaner. It felt temporary. Like a hotel room where you're always aware you're visiting someone else's space. "Make yourself comfortable," Liam said, setting down a box. He clapped me on the shoulder. Firm. Performative. "What's ours is yours, Dad." I should have heard the lie in that. Should have noticed the way Lindsay's smile tightened just slightly. Should have recognized the tone in Liam's voice that suggested this was a script he'd rehearsed. I didn't. Not yet. "Thanks, son," I said. "I appreciate this. Really." "Of course," Lindsay said. She was already backing toward the door. "We're happy to have you. Let us know if you need anything. Towels are in the closet. Wi-Fi password is on the refrigerator." They left me to unpack. I sat on the edge of the bed and looked around the room. Nice furniture, expensive lamp, abstract print on the wall that probably meant something to someone. Everything coordinated, everything perfect, everything wrong. But I told myself I'd adjust, give it time. This was a new chapter. Karen would have wanted me to try. So I tried. The first week was fine, relatively. Liam and Lindsay left early every morning, 6 a.m., both of them in their work clothes, him in suits that probably cost what I used to make in a month, her in tailored dresses and heels that clicked against the marble floors. They'd make coffee in that complicated European machine, grab breakfast bars that cost $8 each, and disappear into the elevator. They'd come home late, 8 or 9 at night, sometimes later. They'd pour wine, order dinner from restaurants I'd never heard of, eat at the dining room table while scrolling through their phones. I tried to join them at first. "How was work?" I'd ask. "Fine," Liam would say. "Busy." "What are you working on?" "Corporate merger, complicated, boring stuff." That was it. Conversation over. Lindsay would occasionally ask if I'd explored the neighborhood, if I'd found the grocery store, if I needed anything. I'd say no, I was fine, and she'd go back to her phone. After the third night of that, I stopped trying. Started eating in my room or earlier before they got home. I explored the building during the day. It was massive, 50 stories, gym on the second floor with equipment I didn't know how to use, pool on the third floor that was always empty, rooftop terrace on the 50th with views that made you feel like you could see the whole world. I walked the neighborhood. Central Park was 6 blocks away. I'd sit on benches and watch people jog past, walk dogs, push strollers, normal people doing normal things. The city was overwhelming, too loud, too crowded, too fast, everyone rushing somewhere important, everyone on their phones, everyone in their own bubble. I felt invisible. Back in Des Moines, people knew me. I'd go to the hardware store and spend 20 minutes talking to Jerry about his grandkids. I'd get coffee at the diner, and Martha would know I wanted it black with 1 sugar. I'd run into former crew members at the grocery store, and we'd catch up about jobs and families and who was retiring when. Here, I was nobody, just another old man taking up space. The second week, things started to feel off. Small things at first. Lindsay correcting how I loaded the dishwasher. Apparently, there was a right way and a wrong way, and I was doing it wrong. The glasses went on top. The bowls had to face a specific direction. The silverware needed to be separated by type. "It's more efficient this way," she explained. Sweet voice, patient, like talking to a child. Liam moving my jacket from the hall closet to my room because guests might see it. Apparently, my 20-year-old Carhartt jacket didn't match their aesthetic. Lindsay setting a coaster under my coffee mug one morning with a smile that felt like a warning. I'd put the mug directly on the marble countertop, left a ring of condensation. "Harold, don't put the cup directly on the marble," she said. Her voice was light, pleasant, but her eyes were hard. "It cost more than your car." I wanted to point out that my truck was paid off, and worth at least $15,000. That marble, fancy or not, was just stone. A water ring wasn't going to ruin anyone. Instead, I said, "Sorry, I'll remember." Liam was sitting right there at the counter, reading news on his iPad, eating a bagel with salmon and cream cheese that probably cost $20. He said nothing, didn't look up, just kept scrolling. That bothered me more than Lindsay's comment, the fact that he let her talk to me like that. Like I was stupid or careless or both. But I let it go, told myself I was being sensitive, told myself they were stressed from work, told myself to adjust. The third week, the mail started arriving. Big envelopes, official letterhead, banks, investment firms, asset management companies, all addressed to me. Harold Whitman, care of the penthouse address. I'd never given this address to my banks, never updated my information after the move. I'd been meaning to, but hadn't gotten around to it. So, how did they have it? I opened the first one at the kitchen counter while Lindsay was doing yoga in the living room, some kind of pretzel pose on a purple mat that probably cost more than a decent mattress. Her face was serene, her breathing controlled. She looked like a yoga magazine cover. The letter was from my bank. First National back in Des Moines. Notification of transfer. $25,000 moved from my retirement account to something called Whitman Asset Management, LLC. Effective date, 3 weeks ago, right after I'd moved in. I didn't authorize that. I read it 3 times. Same words every time. Transfer complete as per your request. New account open for optimization of retirement funds. For questions regarding your portfolio management, contact your account manager at the number below. I didn't have an account manager. I'd never had an account manager. My retirement account just sat there earning modest interest. That was the plan. That was what Karen and I had agreed on years ago. Conservative. Safe. No risks. This wasn't conservative or safe. "Liam," I called out. He was in his home office with the door half open. I could hear him on a conference call, voice crisp and professional. I waited until he finished. "What's up, Dad?" He looked up from his laptop. Perfect hair, perfect tie, even though he was working from home. Perfect everything. I showed him the letter. "Did you know about this? This company, Whitman Asset Management?" He barely glanced at it, just a quick skim, then back to my face. "Oh yeah, we set that up last month, remember? We talked about it." "We didn't talk about it." "Sure we did." His voice was patient, too patient. The voice you use with someone who's confused, someone who's not quite right. "You said your money was just sitting there doing nothing, earning what, 0.5% interest? I told you I had connections who could optimize your returns, get you into better investments. You signed the paperwork." "I didn't sign any paperwork." He smiled, warm, concerned, a little bit sad. "Dad, you did. We went over it together, right here at the kitchen table. Maybe you forgot. It's fine. That's why I'm handling this for you. You don't need to worry about the details." I stared at him, at his calm face, his reasonable expression, his absolute certainty. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe we had talked about it, and I'd forgotten. Karen used to joke that I'd forget my own head if it wasn't attached. Maybe I was getting old. Maybe my memory wasn't what it used to be. But no. I'd remember signing something. I'd remember a conversation about $25,000. "I didn't sign anything," I said again. Quieter this time. Lindsay appeared in the doorway behind me. She must have finished her yoga. There was a fine sheen of sweat on her face. She smelled like expensive coconut body spray. "Everything okay?" she asked, looking between me and Liam. "Dad's confused about the asset management account," Liam said. Not to me, to her, like I wasn't standing right there. "Oh," she smiled at me. Sweet, sympathetic, understanding. The smile you give to someone who's lost. "Harold, we're just protecting you. You don't want to be one of those seniors who get scammed online. There are so many predators out there targeting older people. This way, everything's safe and professionally managed. Liam's firm has a whole division that handles this. You're in good hands. I looked at both of them. Liam in his chair, calm and confident, and utterly convinced of his own righteousness. Lindsay in the doorway, soft and reassuring and absolutely certain I was the problem here. The rational part of my brain said, push back, demand proof, ask to see the paperwork, call the bank directly. The other part, the part that was tired and lonely and didn't want to cause problems, said, let it go. Maybe you did forget. Maybe you're making a big deal out of nothing. I didn't sign anything. But I walked away, went back to my room, sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the letter. $25,000, gone, moved, without my permission, or with my permission that I didn't remember giving. I sat there for an hour trying to convince myself I was wrong, trying to remember a conversation that never happened. I couldn't. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept circling back to the letter, to Liam's patient voice, to Lindsay's sweet concern, to the absolute certainty in their eyes that I was the confused one. I got up around 2:30, went to the kitchen for water. The penthouse was dark and silent. Liam and Lindsay's bedroom door was closed, no light underneath. I drank the water standing at the sink, looking out at the city lights. Manhattan at night looks fake, too bright, too organized, like someone designed it on a computer instead of letting it grow organically. That's when I heard it. The shower, running in their bathroom. I checked the microwave clock. 2:47 a.m. Odd. But people shower at weird times. Maybe Liam couldn't sleep either. Maybe he'd been to the gym. Maybe he just liked late-night showers. I went back to bed. The next night, same thing. I got up for water around 2:30, and at 2:50, the shower started. Ran for about 15 minutes. Third night, 2:48. Fourth night, 2:46. Fifth night, exactly 3 a.m. I started paying attention after that. Started staying up deliberately. Listening. Every single night, like clockwork, the shower ran at 3 in the morning. Sometimes a couple minutes early. Never later than 3:05. Never shorter than 12 minutes. Never longer than 20. And it wasn't the sound of someone actually showering. I knew that sound. Lived with Karen for 40 years. I knew the rhythm of someone washing their hair, soaping up, rinsing off. The sound of movement, the sound of a body underwater. This wasn't that. This was just water running, hard, steady, constant. No movement, no humming, no normal shower noises, just water. On the 7th night, I heard something else. Plastic rustling. Like trash bags or food storage containers, muffled voices, the sound of something being torn. Paper, maybe. I got out of bed. Moved slowly down the hall. The marble was cold under my bare feet. I put my ear against the wall that connected to their bedroom suite. My room shared a wall with their bathroom, water running, plastic crackling, something that sounded like paper being shredded or torn into pieces, and voices. Too quiet to make out words, but definitely voices. Liam and Lindsay, talking while the water ran. My son wasn't showering. My son was doing something else, something he needed to hide. Something that required running water to cover the sound. Something that happened every night at exactly 3 in the morning when he thought everyone else was asleep. I stood there in the dark hallway listening until the water stopped at 3:18 a.m. Then I went back to my room and didn't sleep at all. The 8th night, I positioned myself in the hallway. Barefoot, silent. Their bedroom door was closed, but the bathroom door inside their suite was open a crack. Light spilled out into their bedroom. I waited. At 3:02 a.m., I heard it all clearly. Water. The rustle of plastic bags. Liam's voice, low and controlled. This batch is done. Start the next one. Lindsay's voice. How many more? 3 folders. Then we're clear until next month. I stayed frozen in that hallway for another 10 minutes, barely breathing. The water kept running. More plastic, more tearing sounds. When their bathroom light finally went off, I slipped back to my room and closed the door silently. I didn't sleep at all that night. The next morning, Lindsay reminded me not to tell the neighbors I was living there. "It's an insurance thing," she said, pouring herself coffee in the kitchen. "The building has rules about long-term guests. We don't want to deal with the paperwork." "I'm not a guest," I said. "I live here." "Of course you do, Harold," she smiled. "I just mean officially, for insurance purposes. So if anyone asks, maybe just say you're visiting." Liam walked in, adjusting his tie. "Morning, Dad. Sleep okay?" "Fine," I lied. He grabbed his briefcase. "We've got that investor dinner tonight. We'll be home late. There's food in the fridge." They left together, perfect couple in their perfect clothes going to their perfect jobs. I waited until I heard the elevator doors close. Then I went to work. I started in Liam's home office. Locked. Of course it was locked. But I built houses for 37 years. I know how doors work. Took me 15 minutes with a credit card and some patience. Inside, everything was obsessively organized. File cabinets labeled by year. Desk drawers full of legal pads and expensive pens. Computer password protected. But there was a file on the desk. Recent. Whitman Asset Management, LLC. I opened it. Inside were bank statements. My bank statements. Transactions I never made. Transfers I never authorized. And signatures. My signature, over and over, on documents I'd never seen. Power of attorney forms. Account authorizations. Trust amendments. The handwriting was good. Really good. But I know my own signature. The way I loop the H. The way the D in Whitman trails off. These were close. Too close to be accidental. But they weren't mine. I took out my phone and photographed everything, every page, every document, every signature that wasn't quite right. Then I put the file back exactly where I found it and left the office. My hands were shaking. I walked to the building lobby, needed air, needed to think. The security chief was at the desk. Victor, mid-40s, ex-military build, the kind of guy who sees everything and says little. He'd nodded to me a few times when I came and went. "Mr. Whitman," he said. "Harold," I corrected. "Just Harold." He studied me for a moment. "You settling in okay?" "Getting there." He nodded slowly. "Word of advice?" I waited. "I've worked in buildings like this for 20 years. Seen a lot of families. Rich families. Powerful families." He paused. "The golden children? The ones who look perfect? They're usually the ones exploiting their parents. Not always. But usually." I stared at him. "Just something to keep in mind," Victor said. He went back to his paperwork like he hadn't just confirmed my worst fear. I went back upstairs and sat in my room until Liam and Lindsay came home at midnight. That night, I didn't even pretend to sleep. At 3 a.m., I was already in the hallway. This time, I was going to see exactly what my son was doing. I moved slowly. The penthouse had good soundproofing, but the floors were hard wood in the hallway, and I'd learned which boards creaked. I avoided them. Their bedroom door was closed, but not latched. I could see light underneath. The shower was already running. Had been for about 3 minutes. I pressed my ear close to the gap. Liam's voice. "The power of attorney documents go first. They're the most visible." Lindsay. "What about the trust amendments?" "Those too. Anything with dates from last month." I heard plastic crackling, the thick sound of paper being moved around. Then Lindsay. "We should have done this differently. What if someone notices?" "No one's going to notice. He barely knows what day it is half the time." My chest tightened. "Besides," Liam continued, "after next month, it won't matter. Once the conservatorship paperwork goes through, everything's locked down legally. He won't be able to challenge anything." Conservatorship. The word hit me like a fist. "What if he fights it?" Lindsay asked. Liam laughed, soft, cruel. "With what? We control his accounts. We control his address. We have documentation showing he's confused, forgetful, that he signed these agreements and now claims he didn't. Any judge will see a scared old man who can't manage his own affairs. I stood there in that dark hallway and understood everything. They weren't protecting me. They were erasing me. The shower kept running. I heard more rustling, more tearing. Then Liam. After this batch, we're clean. Everything gets flushed. No evidence. I moved then, slow and careful. Back to my room. I closed the door and sat on the edge of the bed, my phone in my hands. I pulled up the photos I'd taken, went through them one by one. Bank statements showing transfers to accounts I'd never opened, legal documents with forged signatures, power of attorney forms giving Liam control over my finances, my health care, my legal decisions, all of it fake, all of it designed to look real. At 3:22 a.m., I heard the shower finally stop. I opened my banking app on my phone. Took me a minute to navigate to the right screen. Most of my retirement funds were gone, moved to accounts with Liam's law firm listed as account managers, but there was one account they hadn't touched yet, a small savings account I'd opened with Karen 40 years ago. Only $15,000 in it. Not much compared to what they'd already taken. But it was something. I stared at my phone screen until the sun came up. Then I made a decision. They thought I'd stay silent, thought I'd be confused and compliant while they dismantled my life piece by piece. They were wrong. I spent the next 3 days watching and documenting. Every night at 3 a.m. the shower ran. Every night I heard plastic, paper, water, the systematic destruction of evidence. During the day, I played the role they expected. Confused, forgetful, harmless old man. "Dad, did you take your medication?" Liam would ask. I didn't take any medication, never had, but I'd nod and say, "I think so." Lindsay would exchange a look with Liam, concern, the kind that's performed for an audience. I let them think they were winning. On the 4th day, I went back to see Victor. He was at the security desk, reviewing camera feeds. "Harold," he said when I approached, "what can I do for you?" "You said you see things," I said quietly, "in buildings like this." He leaned back in his chair, studying me. "I do." "Can you see the parking garage? Every angle. Can you show me the footage from 3 nights ago, around 2 a.m.? Victor's expression didn't change. He pulled up the video system, typed in a date and time. The footage showed the parking garage. Dark except for overhead lights. At 2:14 a.m., Liam and Lindsay appeared, both in casual clothes. Liam was carrying 2 briefcases. Lindsay had a large plastic storage container. They put everything in the trunk of Liam's car. Then they stood there talking for maybe 2 minutes. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but their body language was tense. Lindsay kept gesturing. Liam kept shaking his head. Finally, they went back to the elevator. They came back down 40 minutes later, Victor said, pulling up another timestamp. The footage showed them returning, empty-handed. They got back in the elevator. "What was in those cases?" I asked. "I don't know," Victor said. "But I know what it looks like when people are disposing of evidence. Seen it before." I met his eyes. "Can you send me these files?" "Security footage is private." "I'm not asking as a resident. I'm asking as a father who needs help." Victor looked at me for a long moment. Then he pulled out his phone, typed something, and showed me the screen, his personal email address. "Send me a request from your email," he said. "Official complaint about suspicious activity. I'll attach the footage as part of my incident report." I nodded. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet," he said. "Whatever you're planning, be careful. People like your son don't lose gracefully." I went back upstairs and composed the email, sent it from my phone. Victor replied within an hour with the video files. That afternoon, I made another move. I called my old attorney back in Des Moines, Jim Patterson. We'd worked together on the house sale and Karen's will. "Harold," he said when he picked up, "how's New York treating you?" "Not well, Jim. I need help." I explained everything, the transfers, the forged signatures, the conservatorship threat, the nightly evidence destruction. Jim was quiet for a long time. Then, "Harold, this is serious. If what you're saying is true, your son has committed multiple felonies, fraud, identity theft, possibly more. I know. I can't represent you in New York. Wrong jurisdiction. But I can recommend someone, a friend of mine who practices estate and elder law in Manhattan. Her name's Rebecca Torres. She's tough. If anyone can help you, it's her." He gave me her number. I called immediately. Rebecca Torres had a voice like a judge. Clear, direct, no nonsense. "Mr. Whitman, I'm going to ask you some questions, and I need you to answer honestly. Can you do that?" "Yes." "Do you have cognitive impairments, memory issues, any diagnosis of dementia or Alzheimer's?" "No. My doctor gave me a full workup 6 months ago. Clean bill of health." "Do you have documentation of these alleged transfers and forgeries?" "Photos of documents, video of them moving materials in the parking garage, recorded audio of them discussing the evidence destruction." "You recorded them?" "My phone was in my pocket. Voice memo app, accidentally on purpose." She laughed, sharp, approving. "Send me everything. Every document, every photo, every recording. I'll review it today. If it's what you say it is, we can file for emergency relief with the court. Freeze the accounts. Stop any conservatorship filing. And if your son has been forging your signature, he's looking at criminal charges." "How long will that take?" "If we move fast, 3 days. Maybe 4. I need it done faster. Mr. Whitman, they're planning to file the conservatorship paperwork in 2 days. I heard them talking about it. Once that's filed, everything gets complicated. I need to move first." She was quiet. Then, "All right. Send me everything now. I'll have an emergency petition ready by tomorrow morning. We'll file it before they can move." I sent her the files while we were still on the phone. That night, I transferred the last of my accessible money into the old savings account and changed the account ownership to include Karen's name posthumously through the estate. Liam couldn't touch it now without going through probate, which would require documentation he didn't have. It wasn't much, but it was mine. At 3 a.m., I listened to the shower run again. This time, I smiled in the dark. Rebecca Torres moved like lightning. By noon the next day, I had a stack of legal documents in my email: emergency petition to freeze accounts, cease and desist letters, notification of potential criminal fraud investigation. "We're filing this afternoon," she said on the phone. "Judge Chen is hearing emergency petitions at 4. I'll represent you in absentia for now. Just stay calm and don't engage with your son until we have the court orders in place." "Understood." "One more thing, Mr. Whitman. Do you have somewhere else you can stay? Once these papers are served, your son is going to be very unhappy." "I'll figure something out." "Figure it out today. As soon as the accounts are frozen, this gets ugly." She was right, but I didn't leave. Not yet. I had one more move to make. Liam's law firm was hosting a private investor dinner that evening. Small group. Partners and their most important clients. Lindsay had mentioned it 3 times, each time emphasizing how crucial it was for Liam's reputation. "This is his chance to make partner," she'd said. "He's been working toward this for years." I knew the dinner was at 8. I knew where it was. Liam had left the invitation on the kitchen counter. At 7:30, I put on my best suit and took a cab to the restaurant. It was the kind of place where they look at your shoes before deciding if you belong. High ceilings, soft lighting, tables spaced far enough apart that conversations stayed private. I walked in like I owned the place. The host approached. "Reservation name?" "Whitman. I'm with the Liam Whitman party." He checked his list. "I don't see—" "I'm his father," I said, loud enough that people nearby turned to look. "He invited me personally. Is there a problem?" The host hesitated. Then, "No, sir. Right this way." He led me through the dining room. I spotted Liam and Lindsay at a large table in the back. 8 people total, all dressed in expensive everything. Liam was mid-story, hands gesturing, everyone laughing. He saw me and his face went white. "Dad?" He stood up. "What are you doing here?" "You invited me," I said. Smiled. "Don't you remember?" Lindsay's eyes locked onto mine. I watched her calculate. Cause a scene or play along. She chose play along. "Harold," she said, standing. "What a surprise. We didn't realize you'd be joining us." "Last-minute decision," I said. I turned to the table. "I'm Harold Whitman, Liam's father. I hope you don't mind me crashing your dinner." The other guests exchanged glances. One of them, an older man with silver hair and an expensive watch, smiled warmly. "Not at all," he said. "Always good to meet family. I'm Richard, senior partner at the firm." I shook his hand. Firm grip. Made sure he noticed. Liam was trying to recover. "Dad, this is actually a working dinner. Maybe we can catch up tomorrow." "Oh, I won't interrupt," I said. I pulled up a chair from a nearby empty table. "I'll just listen. I love hearing about your work." The host brought a menu. I ordered a drink. Liam and Lindsay sat back down, their perfect composure cracking at the edges. For the next 30 minutes, I played the proud father. Asked polite questions, laughed at jokes, complimented the partners, and then, during a lull in conversation, I said, "Richard, can I ask you something? Professional question." Richard set down his wine glass. "Of course." "What's your firm's policy on attorneys who commit fraud against their own clients?" The table went silent. Liam's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. "Excuse me?" Richard said. I pulled out my phone. "I have documentation here showing that my son has been systematically forging my signature on financial documents, transferring my retirement funds to accounts he controls. He's planning to file for conservatorship to make it permanent." "Dad," Liam's voice was tight, warning, "this isn't the time." "When is the time?" I looked around the table. "He does it at 3 in the morning, in the shower, washes the evidence away, very thorough." Lindsay stood up. "Harold, you're clearly confused. We've talked about this." "I have video," I said. I swiped through my phone. "And audio. Would you like to hear the part where you say, 'I barely know what day it is'?" Richard's expression had shifted from polite interest to professional concern. "Mr. Whitman, these are serious allegations." "They are," I agreed. "That's why I filed an emergency petition with the court this afternoon. Judge Chen should have the freeze orders signed by tomorrow morning." Liam stood so fast his chair scraped the floor. "Everyone, I apologize. My father has been experiencing some cognitive issues lately. Memory problems, confusion. We've been trying to get him help." "That's interesting," I said, "because my doctor says I'm fine. No dementia, no Alzheimer's, just a clear memory of my son stealing from me." One of the other guests, a woman in her 50s, looked at Liam. "Is this true?" "Of course not," Liam said. "He's confused. We've been managing his finances to protect him from scams." "Show them the signatures," I said. Pulled up the photos on my phone. "These are documents allegedly signed by me, but they're not my signature. Look at the H. Look at the way the D trails off. Wrong angle." I held the phone toward Richard. He looked. Actually looked. His face hardened. Lindsay grabbed my arm. "You're making a scene, Harold. We should go." "I'm not going anywhere," I said. Pulled my arm free. "I'm just having dinner with my son and his colleagues, telling them about his work ethic. 3 a.m. every single night. That's dedication." Richard stood. "Liam, I think we need to talk. Privately." "There's nothing to talk about," Liam said. His voice was rising, losing that smooth control. "My father is sick. He's paranoid. We've been trying to help him, and this is how he repays us." "By telling the truth?" I asked. That's when Lindsay snapped. "You ungrateful thing," she hissed through her teeth. "We opened our doors to you, made you comfortable, and this is how you repay us, in front of all these people." "You stole from me," I said quietly. You forged my signature. You planned to have me declared incompetent. That's not care. That's theft. The restaurant had gone quiet. Other tables were watching now. Richard stepped back from the table. Liam, Lindsay, I think you should leave. We'll discuss this at the office tomorrow. Liam's face was red. Richard, you can't possibly believe this. He's senile. He's making things up. Then you'll have nothing to worry about, Richard said. Cold. Final. Go home. We'll sort this out tomorrow. I watched Liam realize he'd lost, right there, in front of everyone. He grabbed his coat. Lindsay followed, shooting me a look that promised violence. As they headed for the door, Lindsay leaned close to my ear. We'll file for guardianship tomorrow, she whispered. You'll be gone before sunrise. I smiled at her. Good luck with that. They left. I stayed and finished my drink. I didn't go back to the penthouse that night. I checked into a hotel 3 blocks away. Nothing fancy, but clean and anonymous. Paid cash. Rebecca Torres called at 11 p.m. Judge Chen signed the freeze orders. Every account is locked. Your son can't touch any of the money until we have a full hearing. That's scheduled for next week. He's going to fight this, I said. Of course he is. But right now, you have the advantage. The court takes elder financial abuse very seriously, especially with the documentation you provided. I should have felt relief, victory, something. Instead, I felt cold. There's one more thing I need to do, I said. Mr. Whitman, you've done enough. Let the courts handle the rest. I appreciate that, Rebecca, but this isn't about courts. I hung up before she could argue. At midnight, I took a cab back to the building. Victor was at the security desk. Didn't expect to see you tonight, he said. I need to get into the penthouse. Your son came back an hour ago, he and his wife. They looked upset. I imagine they are. Victor studied me. What are you planning? Something I should have done 3 weeks ago. He reached under the desk and pulled out a keycard. This is a master override. Works on all residential units. Building management uses it for emergencies. I stared at the card. You're giving me this? I'm lending it to you. For the next hour. After that, I need it back and we never had this conversation. I took the card. Thank you. Don't do anything that gets me fired, Victor said, or arrested. I rode the elevator to the 23rd floor. The penthouse hallway was silent. I used the override card. The lock clicked open. Inside, the lights were on. I could hear voices. Liam and Lindsay in the living room. I walked in. They both turned. Liam was on his phone. Lindsay was pacing. What the hell are you doing here? Liam demanded. I live here, I said. Remember? You don't live here anymore, Lindsay said. We're filing a restraining order. You're not welcome. File whatever you want, I said. I walked past them toward the master bedroom. Right now I need to have a conversation with you both. Get out, Liam said. He moved to block my path. I stopped. Looked at him. Really looked at him. 6 feet tall. Athletic build. Younger and stronger than me by decades. But I'd spent 37 years on construction sites. I knew how to handle men who thought their size made them powerful. Move, I said quietly. Something in my voice made him hesitate. Just for a second. I walked past him. The master bedroom was exactly how I remembered. King-size bed, expensive linens, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, and the bathroom, marble and glass and cold precision. I flipped on the light and walked inside. What are you doing? Lindsay had followed me. Her voice was shrill now, scared. I turned on the shower, full force. The water pressure in this place was impressive. The sound filled the room. This is where you did it, I said. Looked at both of them standing in the doorway. Every night at 3 a.m., washing away the evidence. Very smart. No paper trail, no digital record. Just water and patience. You're insane, Liam said. No, I said. I'm angry. I pulled out my phone. opened the photo gallery, started showing them the images, bank statements, forged signatures, screenshots of account transfers. "These are all going to the police," I said, "and to the Bar Association, and to every client and partner at your firm. The emergency court orders went through today. Every account is frozen. You can't touch any of it." Liam's face went from red to white. "You can't do this." "I already did." Lindsay rushed forward. "You have no idea what you've done. Liam's career is over. Everything we've built is gone. Because of you." "Because of me?" I laughed. Hard. "You stole from me. You forged my signature. You planned to have me declared incompetent and locked away, and you're angry that I stopped you?" "We were protecting you," she screamed. "You were vulnerable, alone. We were making sure you were taken care of." "By erasing me?" Liam found his voice again. Lawyer mode. Cold and calculating. "You won't win this, Dad. We have documentation. We have witnesses who will testify you're confused. Forgetful. We'll fight the court orders. We'll fight everything. And in the end, you'll be the one who looks like a paranoid old man." "Maybe," I said. "But right now, everyone at your firm knows what you did. Richard knows. Your partners know. Your clients will know by morning. Your reputation is already gone, Liam. That's the thing about being a lawyer. You live and are judged by your reputation." His jaw clenched. Lindsay turned to him. "Do something. Call someone. Fix this." "There's nothing to fix," I said. "It's done." That's when Liam lunged at me. He was fast. I'll give him that. But I was ready. I stepped aside, let his momentum carry him past me. He crashed into the marble counter. Hard. Knocked over Lindsay's expensive bottles of perfume and lotion. Glass shattered on the tile. "Liam?" Lindsay rushed to him. He pushed himself up, breathing hard. There was a cut on his hand from the broken glass. A thin line of red seeped onto the white marble. "You're going to regret this," he said, voice shaking. "I will destroy you." "You already tried," I said. "It didn't work." He came at me again. This time I was slower. He caught my shoulder, shoved me back against the glass shower wall. The impact rattled through my spine. We were the same height, eye to eye. "Everything I did was legal," he hissed. "You signed those documents, you authorized those transfers, you're just too senile to remember." I drove my knee up into his stomach, not hard enough to really hurt him, just enough to break his grip. He staggered back, wheezing. "Legal?" I asked. "Tell that to Judge Chen. Tell that to the handwriting experts who'll compare those signatures. Tell that to Richard and your partners who heard you call me senile at dinner tonight." Lindsay was screaming now, high-pitched, panicked. "I'm calling the police. You're assaulting him." "Call them," I said. "I'd love to explain to the police why I'm here, why my son has been systematically stealing from me, why he runs the shower at 3 a.m. every night to destroy evidence." She didn't call. Liam straightened up, holding his stomach. The lawyer mask was completely gone now. This was just rage, pure and simple. "You think you've won?" he said. "You think freezing some accounts makes you the winner? I'll tie this up in court for years. I'll drain every penny you have left in legal fees. I'll make sure you spend whatever time you have left fighting me." "Maybe," I said. "But you'll be fighting too. And unlike you, I don't have a career to protect. I don't have clients who'll drop me the second they think I'm dirty. I don't have partners watching my every move. I've got nothing to lose, Liam. That makes me dangerous." He stared at me. I watched the calculation happen behind his eyes. Watched him realize I was right. "We could have taken care of you," he said quietly. "We could have made sure you were comfortable. Safe. But you had to fight. You had to make this difficult." "You mean I had to resist?" I said. "That's what you can't stand, isn't it? That I didn't just roll over and let you erase me." Lindsay grabbed Liam's arm. "We need to call Marcus, our lawyer. He'll know what to do." "Marcus is a divorce attorney," Liam snapped. "This is criminal fraud. We need someone else." "Then call someone else." While they argued, I walked to the shower. The water was still running. Steam filled the bathroom. I reached up and adjusted the shower head. Maximum pressure, maximum heat. Then I looked at Liam. "Take off the watch," I said. He touched his wrist reflexively. The Rolex. Platinum. Probably cost more than my truck. "What?" "The watch. Take it off." "You're insane." "Take it off, or I throw it in myself." Lindsay stepped between us. "Harold, that watch cost $40,000. You can't." I grabbed the watch off Liam's wrist. He tried to pull away, but I was faster, stronger than they expected. I held it under the shower. Hot water pounded against the metal and glass. "Stop!" Liam lunged forward. I caught him with my other arm. Leverage, weight distribution, basic physics. I'd taught construction workers how to lift materials twice their weight. I knew how to use angles. I forced him down, to his knees, right there on the bathroom floor. The water kept running. The watch was already fogging up inside, water seeping past the seals. "What are you doing?" Lindsay was screaming. "Stop it! Stop it!" I held Liam there, his face inches from the drain, where he'd flushed away the evidence of his crimes, where he'd tried to wash away my entire identity. "You know what the worst part was?" I said, quiet, right into his ear. "Not the theft, not the fraud. It was the way you looked at me, like I was nothing, like I was just an obstacle, something to be managed and controlled and eventually disposed of." "Dad, I'm not your dad anymore," I said. "You lost that right when you forged my signature, when you sat in this bathroom at 3 a.m. and planned how to erase me." The watch slipped from my hand, fell into the shower, $40,000 circling the drain. Liam made a strangled sound, tried to reach for it. I held him there, let him watch it disappear into the plumbing. "That's what it feels like," I said. "Watching something valuable disappear. Watching your future go down the drain. That's what you tried to do to me." Lindsay pulled at my arm. "Let him go! Let him go!" I released him. Liam scrambled forward, reaching into the shower drain, desperate, pathetic. His expensive suit getting soaked, his perfect hair dripping. He couldn't reach it. The watch was gone. I turned off the shower. The silence was deafening. Liam stayed on the floor, breathing hard. His hand was still cut from the broken glass. The red mix ran with the water across the tile. Lindsay stood against the wall, mascara running down her face. I looked at both of them. "You thought I'd be just a signature," I said. "Just a name on a document. Just an inconvenience to be managed until I was gone or forgotten. You thought wrong." I walked toward the bathroom door. "Where are you going?" Lindsay's voice cracked. "Away from here, away from you." "We'll fight this," Liam said, still on his knees, still trying to sound powerful. "We'll fight everything, the court orders, the accusations, all of it." I paused in the doorway, looked back at him. "Go ahead," I said. "Fight. Spend your money on lawyers. Spend your time in depositions. Spend your reputation trying to prove I'm the crazy one. I'll be there every step of the way, every hearing, every filing, every moment you try to rebuild your career. I'll be the reminder of what you really are." "What am I?" he asked. Bitter, broken. I smiled. "Nothing," I said. "Without my money, without your reputation, without the image you've built, you're nothing. Just a man who tried to steal from his father and got caught." I walked out of the bathroom, out of the bedroom, through the living room with its expensive furniture and floor-to-ceiling views. At the door, I stopped. Victor was standing in the hallway. He must have heard the commotion. Behind him were 2 uniformed police officers. "Mr. Whitman," Victor said. "These officers received a call about a disturbance." I looked at the officers. Young, professional, already assessing the situation. "No disturbance," I said. "Just a family conversation." "Someone called 911, one of the officers said. "Reported an assault." Lindsay appeared in the doorway behind me. "Yes, he attacked my husband. He's violent. We want him removed. The officer looked at me, then at Lindsay with her running mascara and her desperate expression. "Sir, do you live here?" he asked me. "I did," I said. "Not anymore." "He's trespassing," Lindsay insisted. "We want him arrested." "Ma'am, we need to speak with your husband as well." "Where is he?" Liam emerged from the bedroom, soaking wet, bleeding, looking nothing like the polished lawyer he'd been hours ago. The officers exchanged glances. "Sir, are you injured?" one of them asked Liam. "He attacked me," Liam said, pointed at me. "He broke into our home and attacked me." "I used a key card," I said calmly, "provided by building security for legitimate access. I came to retrieve my belongings and discuss the theft of my retirement funds, which is currently under investigation by the court." "That's a lie," Lindsay said. "He's confused. He's not well." The officer pulled out a notepad. "Let's start from the beginning. What exactly happened here tonight?" I pulled out my phone. "Officers, I have documentation of financial fraud committed by my son, bank statements, forged signatures, court orders freezing accounts due to elder financial abuse. I also have video and audio evidence of them discussing the destruction of evidence. Would you like to see it?" Liam's face went white. The officer looked at him. "Sir?" "Don't answer that," Lindsay hissed. "We need our attorney." "That's probably wise," the officer said. He looked at me. "Sir, do you have somewhere else to stay tonight?" "I do." "Then I suggest you go there. Let the court sort out the rest." I nodded, looked at Liam one last time. He was shaking. Actually shaking. "Wash up, champ," I said quietly. "You're all lies now." I walked past the officers, past Victor to the elevator. The doors closed on Lindsay's screaming and Liam's silence. The hotel room was quiet. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at my hands, construction workers' hands, scarred and strong and steady. My phone buzzed. Rebecca Torres. "Mr. Whitman, I just got a very interesting call from the police. They're investigating an incident at your son's penthouse tonight." "I was there," I said. "It's handled." "Handled? Harold, you can't take matters into your own hands like this. We have a legal process." "The legal process is fine," I said, "but some things aren't about law. Some things are about looking a man in the eye and making sure he knows he lost." She was quiet for a moment. Then, "Did he hurt you?" "He tried. I'm fine." "And is he fine?" "Wet, embarrassed. Minus one very expensive watch, but fine." She laughed. Actually laughed. "You threw his watch down the drain?" Seemed fitting. Jesus. Okay. Well, for what it's worth, the police report will probably help our case. If he's claiming you're violent or dangerous, we can counter with evidence of his fraud. Judges don't like thieves who play victim. What happens next? Court hearing next week. Full evidentiary hearing on the account freezes and the fraud allegations. Bring everything you have. Every document, every photo, every recording. We're going to bury him. Good. Harold? Yeah? Are you okay? Really? I thought about that. About Karen, about the house in Des Moines, about raising Liam and believing he'd become someone good, about standing in that bathroom tonight and watching my son on his knees, reaching for a watch that was already gone. "I'm better than okay," I said. "I'm free." I hung up and lay back on the bed. The ceiling was plain white, water-stained in one corner. The heater rattled. Traffic noise filtered up from the street. It wasn't marble and floor-to-ceiling windows. It was better. My phone buzzed again. Text from Victor. "Heard what happened. Coffee tomorrow? I know a good diner." I smiled and typed back, 8 a.m. Another buzz. Unknown number. I almost didn't open it, but curiosity won. The text read, "This is Richard from the firm. I want to apologize for tonight's scene. I've reviewed the situation with our ethics board. Your son's employment is under review pending investigation. If you need anything, let me know." I read it twice. Then I typed, "Thank you. No apology necessary. You listened. That's all I needed. His response was immediate. He fooled a lot of people. I'm sorry we didn't see it sooner. I put the phone down and closed my eyes. Somewhere across the city, Liam and Lindsay were probably fighting, probably calling lawyers, probably realizing that their perfect life was falling apart. I should have felt guilty. Part of me expected to. I didn't. I felt satisfied, vindicated, powerful in a way I hadn't felt since before Karen was gone. They'd tried to erase me, tried to turn me into just a signature, just a problem to be managed. Instead, I'd erased them, their reputation, their control, their future, not with violence, not with rage, with truth, with patience, with the same methodical approach I'd used to build houses for 37 years. Foundation first, then structure, then details. I'd built a case, built a strategy, built a reckoning, and when the moment came, I'd executed it perfectly. Tomorrow, I'd meet Victor for coffee. We'd talk like normal people. No schemes, no manipulation, just conversation. Next week, I'd go to court and watch the judge review the evidence. Watch Liam try to defend the indefensible. After that, I'd find a place of my own. Nothing fancy. Just somewhere I could drink coffee without worrying about the marble. Somewhere I could be Harold Whitman without someone trying to make me into something less. But tonight, right now, I let myself enjoy this. The victory, the justice, the pure, sweet satisfaction of watching someone who thought they were untouchable realize they were wrong. My phone buzzed one more time. Another unknown number. The text read, "Dad, we need to talk. Please. I can explain everything. Liam." I stared at the message for a long time. Then I deleted it. There was nothing left to say. The court hearing happened on a Tuesday. Judge Chen was 50s, gray hair, sharp eyes that missed nothing. She'd reviewed all the evidence before we arrived. I could tell by the way she looked at Liam when he walked in. Rebecca Torres sat beside me. Professional, prepared. A folder 6 inches thick with documentation. Liam had brought his attorney, some hotshot from a different firm. Probably cost him a fortune just to show up. Lindsay wasn't there. I heard she'd moved back to her parents' place in Connecticut. The hearing lasted 4 hours. Rebecca presented everything. Bank statements showing unauthorized transfers, forged signatures with handwriting analysis, video footage of Liam and Lindsay moving containers in the parking garage at 2 a.m., audio recordings of them discussing evidence destruction. Every night at 3 a.m., Rebecca said to the judge, the defendant would run his shower and systematically destroy documents showing his fraudulent activity. He believed he was being careful. He was just being obvious. Liam's attorney tried to argue mental incompetence, tried to suggest I was confused, paranoid, that I'd consented to the asset management and simply forgotten. Judge Chen cut him off. Counsel, I've reviewed Mr. Harold Whitman's medical records. He had a comprehensive cognitive evaluation 6 months ago. No signs of dementia, Alzheimer's, or any other impairment. His testimony is clear, consistent, and backed by substantial physical evidence. Your client, however, has some explaining to do. She turned to Liam. Mr. Whitman, did you forge your father's signature on financial documents? Liam's attorney leaned over to whisper something. Mr. Whitman, the judge repeated. Answer the question. Liam looked at me. For just a second I saw the kid he used to be. The one who'd helped me build a treehouse in the backyard. The one who'd cried at Karen's funeral. Then the mask came back. I was protecting him, Liam said. He was vulnerable. I was ensuring his assets were properly managed. By forging his signature? I had his verbal consent. He just doesn't remember. Judge Chen looked down at her notes. Mr. Whitman, you're an attorney. You know that verbal consent doesn't authorize you to forge signatures on legal documents. You know that power of attorney requires proper execution and witnesses. You know that what you did was illegal. Silence. The court finds clear and convincing evidence of elder financial abuse and fraud, Judge Chen said. All account freezes remain in place. All transferred funds are to be returned to Harold Whitman's original accounts within 30 days. Mr. Liam Whitman is ordered to have no contact with his father except through legal counsel. Additionally, I'm referring this matter to the District Attorney's Office for criminal investigation." She looked at Liam again. "You're an officer of the court, Mr. Whitman. You were held to a higher standard. You violated that standard in the most egregious way possible. I suggest you retain criminal counsel." The gavel came down. It was over. Rebecca turned to me. "We won." "I know," I said. Liam stood up. His attorney was already packing his briefcase, probably calculating how much this disaster had cost him. For just a moment, Liam and I made eye contact. He looked destroyed, not just defeated, destroyed. His career was over. His reputation was gone. His marriage was falling apart. Everything he'd built was crumbling. I waited for the guilt to come, the regret, the fatherly instinct to reach out and help. It didn't come. What came instead was satisfaction, cold and complete. He'd tried to erase me, to wash me away at 3 a.m. like I was nothing, like I was just an inconvenience between him and my money. Now he was the one being erased, by the court, by his firm, by everyone who'd believed in him. I stood up and walked toward the exit. "Dad!" Liam called out. His voice cracked. "Dad, please, can we just talk?" I stopped at the door, looked back at him one last time. "No," I said, and I walked out. Outside the courthouse, the sun was shining, real spring warmth, the kind that makes you believe in new beginnings. Rebecca stood beside me on the steps. "What now?" she asked. "Now I find an apartment," I said. "Get my money back. Live my life. You could pursue criminal charges separately, sue for damages, make sure he loses everything." I thought about it. The court already referred it to the DA. That's enough. I don't need revenge anymore. I just needed him to know he lost. She smiled. "You're a better man than most." "No," I said. "I'm just tired of fighting." We shook hands. She headed back to her office. I stood there on the courthouse steps and breathed. My phone buzzed. Text from Victor. "Heard you won. Drinks tonight?" I typed back, "Absolutely." Another text. This one from Richard at the firm. "Liam's been terminated, effective immediately. Wanted you to know." I didn't respond to that one. Just put my phone away. The city moved around me. People rushing to their jobs, their lives, their problems. None of them knew what had just happened in that courtroom. None of them cared. That was fine. I didn't need them to know. I knew. I'd been betrayed by my own son. Manipulated, stolen from, nearly erased. And I'd fought back. Not with force, not with fury. With intelligence. With patience. With the same steady determination I'd used to build a career and raise a family. I walked into that room and started taking their world apart. They thought I was weak, confused, easy to control. They were wrong. I walked down the courthouse steps and into the sun. Somewhere in the city, Liam was probably panicking, calling lawyers, trying to figure out how to salvage his career, trying to explain to Lindsay why they'd lost everything. That wasn't my problem anymore. My problem was finding a good apartment, maybe something with a view, nothing as fancy as the penthouse, just somewhere comfortable, somewhere I could drink my coffee without worrying about the countertops, somewhere I could be myself. I hailed a cab and gave the driver Victor's address. We'd have those drinks tonight. Maybe he'd know some good neighborhoods. Maybe we'd just talk about normal things. Sports, weather, life. The cab pulled away from the courthouse. I didn't look back. Behind me, in that building, Liam was learning what it meant to lose, to have everything stripped away, to stand alone and realize that all the polish and power and reputation in the world couldn't save you when you'd built your life on lies. I'd spent 62 years being a good man, a good husband, a good father, building things, creating value, taking care of people, And when someone tried to destroy that, I'd shown them exactly what a good man could do when pushed too far. Not rage, not violence, justice, cold, methodical, inevitable justice. The cab merged into traffic. The city opened up around me, tall buildings, busy streets, millions of people living their lives. I was one of them now, free, independent, unattached to the son who'd betrayed me. My phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. Another plea from Liam, probably. I turned the phone off. There was nothing left to say to him. No reconciliation, no forgiveness, no second chances. He'd made his choice when he forged my signature, when he ran that shower at 3 a.m. and washed away evidence of his crimes, when he looked at me like I was nothing. Now he'd live with that choice, and I'd live with mine. The cab stopped at a red light. Outside, people crossed the street. A couple holding hands, a man walking a dog, an old woman with a shopping cart. Normal people, living normal lives. I smiled. Tomorrow, I'd start looking for apartments. Next week, I'd get my money back. Next month, I'd figure out what came next. But tonight, I'd have drinks with Victor. I'd celebrate the victory. I'd enjoy the feeling of standing on the other side of a war I'd won. Not with violence, not with cruelty, with truth. The light turned green. The cab moved forward. Behind me, Liam was drowning in the consequences of his actions. His career was over. His reputation was destroyed. His marriage was falling apart. Everything he'd worked for was gone. And I'd done that. Me. The confused old man. The inconvenient father. The signature he thought he could forge and control. I'd brought him to his knees in that bathroom. Made him watch his expensive watch disappear down the drain. Made him feel what it was like to lose something valuable. Made him understand that I was never just a signature. I was Harold Whitman, construction manager, widower, father, and now Victor. The cab pulled up to Victor's building. I paid the driver, got out, looked up at the sky, clear, blue, perfect. I walked inside. Somewhere across the city, my son was learning what it meant to cross the wrong man, and I was finally, truly free.